Parenting does not mean just guiding the children on the general values, but they must instill in them the bhakti or the dedication to our land, to our Madhur Bhumi, our precious Bharat. And I hope that they will be able to do that.
The kind of help parents can give requires mindfulness in the sense of being attentive to the child, understanding the child, and being responsive to the child's needs, because ultimately the child's happiness should be all that matters to us as parents.
The spacecraft came out of the womb of the rocket, and I felt always like that. The mother takes it to the space, it delivers it there for a greater journey beyond that point. I think that symbolizes the roles of a parent and the journey of a child.
If we need to make quantum leaps in social progress, we need to invest in the youngest of children.
Yes, to be a mindful parent or to walk the path of mindful parenting, I think we as parents need to regulate our emotions. We need to be very strong. We need to be like a role model for the children, because they keep looking at us, they keep watching us, they keep picking up a word or thought of what we express. So it's important that we become emotionally very strong, emotionally very stable.
Mindful parenting is the effort to bring awareness, attention, and curiosity to your interactions with your children. It involves listening, reflecting, and choosing to respond in a way that uplifts both parents and the child.
जयधारी माँ, आप सबको नमस्ते. We welcome our audience, and Ajay sir, our heartiest congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Ji, our heartiest congratulations to you for a very, very blessed award. Today's 1 hour is very, very special to me and very close to my heart. The video has introduced Vivan's proud parents, and I'm going to introduce Vivan to you. I want to. His name is from Lord Krishna's name. Vivan is another name of Lord Krishna. His name means full of life. It means the sun rays, it means morning, it means light. He is their light. Vivan is their light. He's come for them. He's come to complete them. He's come to connect them with what love is all about. And I'm going to take a minute today to read out something beautiful to you, which our dear Vivan has written. So, to tell you how beautiful Vivan's heart, mind, soul, body, and life is, I'm going to read this to you. This is written by Vivan. The Blue Sky by Vivan. I hope it's reaching his heart. I hope Vivan is hearing his Saina auntie read it to him. The blue sky was like strong happiness. It was having a party. The sea was the lemonade, and the hot beach was the cake. It was celebration. Wind was like a dance. The earth was celebrating a birthday in the far away. For our boy, life is a celebration. That's how blessed he is. That's how blessed his heart is. So that's Vivan for you. That's Vivan for you. And that's the way we are celebrating his purity and innocence today in mindful parenting. Ji. Mami, over to you. Ji.
Thank you. Cannot thank enough Feroz and Dipali, both of you. You're the you're the bravest of the brave, the brightest of the brightest. Bravest of the brave, brightest of the brightest. Why I'm saying brightest? Because you're so bright. Professionally, you're at the top of the world in your own respects, both Dipali and you. And ever since I've known you, I've seen this professional excellence in both of you. But I've also seen the excellence of compassion in both of you and giving in you. Because when your son was born to you, we all celebrated. And I remember I also held Vivan in my hands, and Vivan was still into music ever since there was music. And that's how I was declared the grandmother of Vivan. So therefore, I've seen you in your best professionally. And as Vivan grew, we realized and we saw that Vivan was different. He was differently abled. He was differently abled as nature gifted to him. Another kind of gift to humanity, which divine decides who to give and who not to give. But how you both coped up with this differently abled life as lifestyle, both Dipali and you. And Dipali put aside her own profession. She said, now I'm for humanity and you for Vivan. You for Vivan and I'm for humanity, and I for Vivan and you for humanity. I think both of you decided to dedicate your lives to humanity and through your son. Through your son, you made the whole world your child, the whole world where it needs healing and maybe education and learning. So I'm not talking about you became India's youngest CEO in the country. That's when we met, when you were the worst. Can you both tell us a little about yourselves? Because I can do no justice to both of you.
No,
Thank
Rose,
you.
please share your thoughts. Please share your thoughts.
Firstly, ma'am, thank you so much for that very, very kind introduction. I think we are blessed that we had people like you in our lives that made our journey a lot more meaningful. And I've said this in every talk of mine in the last 2 decades, how you've played a very central role at a point in our lives when, after Vivan's diagnosis, we went through, like every parent, we went through our journey of despair and anguish. And I remember the phone call that you made, which literally changed my journey and our journey together, where you said most people spend their whole life not knowing what their purpose is, we are incredibly fortunate that we found our purpose through Vivan. So I think that was a very defining moment for both of us. So thank you very much, ma'am, for being part of our life. Maybe a very quick introduction. I'm originally from Kerala, but my father worked in the railway, so I've actually lived in many parts of the country. So sometimes I jokingly say I was born in a train because I lived in Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, Hyderabad, Chennai, all parts of the country, and that gave me that diverse exposure helped me understand the world a lot better. I met Dipali in college, so we met when we were very, very young. We were probably just in our teenage years at doing our computer science engineering at college. So we've known each other for more than 30 years now. We're married for 20 years. In fact, I say I know most part of my life, I've known her than not knowing her. So we've been very blessed that we've been friends throughout our life. It's never felt like husband and wife. It's always been like two friends. And one of the important elements of our journey has been that we fundamentally believed in equality, but not sameness. It doesn't equality doesn't mean both of us have to do the same thing. We did different things, but we always believed that even raising Vivan is about doing everything that we can together. So it was always a teamwork. It was always both of us all in. And of course, I think Dipali made much bigger sacrifices than I have, because giving up is much harder. I pursued my career, but she gave up, which is, I always say, much, much harder than anything else. So I think she for me is really my superhero in this incredible journey. And now we are based in California, in the US. Dipali, you want to share yours?
Yeah. Um, yeah, like you said, thank you so much, Karan ma'am, for your kind words and for everybody here. I'm so honored to be a part of this forum here. And a little bit on myself, I'm an engineer by profession. I was Firoz's classmate. I worked right after college. I worked in a few companies in TCS, Infosys, SAP. And then when Vivan was born, I took a break for a couple of years. This was prior to his diagnosis. And I thought I always saw myself as a career person, because we've been brought up by a very, very strong mother who believed always in independence, and she always instilled in us the belief that no matter what, we should be able to stand on our own feet. We should be able to take care of ourselves and not be dependent. So that's true of all of us. We are three sisters. However, when Vivan's diagnosis came out, I at that point of time, I thought I needed to spend a little more time with him to figure out how to navigate this totally unprecedented path, because nobody in my family had this kind of a diagnosis. So I took that break, and after 3 years, Firoz convinced me that I need to get back to work in some capacity, even with the situation at hand. And I think when Vivan was around 3 years old, I did get back to work. I started working part time. I found some very compassionate people who were willing to employ me on my own terms. So that worked well. And then about 10 years ago, we moved to the US, which was a completely different landscape in terms of navigating schools, navigating doctors. I took another break of probably a longer break of 5 years this time, because it was a different country altogether. And then I got back to work again in a part-time capacity. COVID hit, and things went crazy everywhere. Again, I made that choice. Okay, I can't do this anymore. I am not able to support Vivan the way he needs to be supported. So I quit. And at that point of time, I decided to join a friend of mine who was in the social impact space. And we co-founded an organization called Tech for Good. Tech for Good Impact Fund, it's registered as. And our focus is basically to help nonprofits access technology, because they don't have the access that they need. And most of the technology that is developed in the world is not developed for them. It's developed for a very capitalistic society. So we are trying to get this access to the people who really need it. Our heroes are the change makers. Our heroes are the people on the field who are making a difference to vulnerable communities. So that's what our organization does. We are basically also trying to create a tech talent in abundance for the social impact space. So we have a fellowship where we train and we nourish tech talent from underprivileged communities, mostly women, and we prepare them to be able to go into the world, go help other nonprofits, and help them with their technology challenges. This is work that gives me a lot of happiness. This is also work which is so meaningful that when I'm taking few hours away from being a parent, I feel fulfilled. It's worth it. I wouldn't take my time off from Vivan for anything less. That's about me.
Want to keep hearing you.
Yes.
Want to
Uh,
keep hearing you. Go ahead.
Oh,
No,
but
I,
apart,
I think, ma'am, I remember you every time we had a conversation with ma'am, she would keep asking Dipali, Dipali, have you got back to work? Have you got back to work? And every
I
call,
would be,
Dipali is like very stressed out. I know ma'am is going to ask me.
and I'm not doing anything at the moment.
So ma'am, डंडा मार के दीपाली को काम में भेजा, and I keep doing that myself. I keep telling her and pushing her that she needs to have a life, she needs to be fulfilled. So I'm very grateful. It's a struggle. A lot of times it's actually a hustle. You're kind of hustling between our jobs and his medical needs and his therapy, his schooling, and so even finding those few hours to dedicate to meaningful work is very hard. But I'm very proud that Dipali is able to do that, even if it's a very small bit. I think what she's done is way more credible and commendable than a lot of what I end up doing.
Firoz, Dipali,
Maybe
uh,
Ajay has
जी,
something in mind.
Ji, sir, you want to say something or
No, after you.
Ji, sir. Dipali, Firoz, are you being able to while you're going through this journey, are you being able to also feel the divine connect? Are you being able to feel the entwining of your journey, yours and Vivan's and Dipali's journey, how he's come to also nourish you, a space in your heart which you didn't know that existed? Are you being able to also see that he's going through a very, very incredible spiritual journey where your boy is actually not creating
Yeah.
any more karma and he's being very true to life? Are you being able to feel that?
Yeah. I think I've uh, often reflected on what is Vivan's role in our lives. I've written extensively about it as well. I think, and there is very interesting data. It shows that this is mostly US centric data, because I don't know we have data about India, but it shows that families that have special need children often end up separating. And this is, I'm sure Dr. Ajay would probably have more concrete data on that. And I very early on I saw that impact in a lot of families and other people whom I had met, and most of the time the children were raised by single mothers, and this is just how it is across the world. But what's also interesting is that in the 10-20% where the parents are able to hang on together, actually the bond becomes much stronger. And I feel, and we both feel, that it's because of Vivan that our bond have become much stronger. And typically what happens is that as you grow older, your lives tend to go take parallel paths. One person focuses on the career, the other person focuses on the child, and so there is no commonality. But at some point, and I must confess that I was also in that path, but thanks to Dipali and Vivan, we both of us have started focusing on Vivan. Vivan is the common thing in our life, so it's actually made our relationship much stronger. I must confess, we've also had our own challenges, like every other family. It's never perfect, but I think he has made our relationship a lot stronger. So I think his intentions, his purity of intentions, which is what I think is the most important. What you were saying, Saina, we see that. I don't know, Dipali, your thoughts?
I agree with everything you said, but I also wanted to add on a very personal level. Vivan has brought out a lot of good in me. I was not this patient, and I know I'm a very patient person now. And he is a kid who can do a lot of wrong, but nothing is happening from his heart. It's not him doing it. It is sometimes, a lot of the times, it's his disability, which is not him. So being able to separate his disability from him and looking at him as an individual who is really a part of us and who is extremely good, honest, always brings out the best in me. Because even if I am upset or angry or harsh with him, uh, within 2 minutes, he has forgiven me. I mean, who does that? I just have to go to him and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I yelled at you." And he just hugs me back. He just, kisses me back. He doesn't hold it in his heart when I'm harsh with him for whatever reason. And I think that is his innate goodness. That is the fact. That is because he's kind and he's clean. His heart is very clear. And there is so much to learn from that. There is so much to learn about acceptance. There's so much to learn about being sensitive to other people. And he has brought out these qualities in me, which I don't think I was even I was not even aware of these qualities before.
Yeah.
So
In fact,
definitely, yeah.
in fact, only yesterday I remember that he had a challenging day, and um, I was also angry on him, and I felt very sad immediately because he moves on. He's like in 2 minutes he's forgotten. He's happy and playing, and I was not able to kind of forgive myself. And I was telling Dipali, I feel so bad that why did I kind of shout at him or was angry at him, because sometimes you are at the edge because you've had a long day and things don't work the way it should. He's like he's within minutes he's fine, and then Dipali was trying to say, don't worry, it's okay, he's fine. But we sometimes feel very hard to forgive ourselves because we tend to, we are not as pure as him. That's just a fact.
Exactly, that's exactly the fact.
And
Ajay,
are
you
you,
have
yes,
many
sir.
questions.
Yes, sir. Sir, please.
Actually, I would like to thank you, Sainaji and team, for this special gesture and the video tribute. And it's great to meet you, Firoz and Deepali. Firoz as a senior VP and head of SAP Academy for Engineering. You lead the charge in creating the just next generation of problem-solving engineers. And
Yeah.
Deepali is the co-founder of P4G Labs Impact Tech Fund. Your dedication to using technology for the greater good is truly inspiring. A special thank you, Kiran Bedi ma'am, for being part of this journey and for your continuous support. Actually, I was reading Einstein's biography by Walter Isaacson. I'm struck by how he didn't like the usual ways of teaching, believing they could stifle creativity. Typically, individuals with a high EQ find it challenging to fit into current conventional educational system, which tends to prioritize high IQ. In our present scenario, kids who think differently, particularly those with special abilities, might feel out of place in regular schools. Another point to be noted is that school often undervalue talents like music and dance or other creative art forms, despite their requiring a lot of skills. So my question to Firoz and Dipali and later, ma'am, maybe we need your insights also. How can we transform our schools to ensure all kids can unleash their creativity and excel in what they are passionate about? And most importantly, how can we strike the right balance in teaching? Excited to hear your thoughts.
Oh, this is I can speak on this. I think me and Dipali for the next 2 hours. This is such an interesting, very important question. But I'll try to give you a very brief kind of summarize our learnings, right? So I'll tell you with a very specific example. Till Vivan was 9 years old, the school, even in the US, I'm talking about in California, said that his level is of a first grade child, because he was not able to, at least they felt that he doesn't understand things. So even though he should have been in fifth grade, they said he's probably first grade level because he was not able to communicate. And then we found out through our various sources there is a specific method called rapid prompt method, which like every parent, we tried so many things and we landed up on this particular method. And so Dipali took Vivan to this particular teacher, privately. And on that day, she just called me and said, Feroz, you need to come right now here, because what I'm seeing, I'm not able to believe what I'm seeing. I'm like, what happened? She said, no, just come. And we both were completely dumbstruck because Vivan was writing like a poet. And his school till that time had said he is in first grade level. He doesn't know alphabets, he doesn't know spellings, so he's first grade. And here he was writing a whole paragraph with beautiful, insightful thoughts. And I'm like, but how is it possible? And we had tears in our eyes. So actually, the big learning for us, Dr. Ajay, is that it was our inability to see his ability. It was the world was incapable of seeing what he was. Just because he didn't speak didn't mean that he was not cognitively understanding. He was understanding everything. He was understanding the whole world. But because he didn't have a means to express himself, we assumed that his IQ levels are less, or he just doesn't understand the world. And life changed after that, because the thing that happened, and this is one thing which we keep telling every parent, is to assume competence. The school system said, I will assume competence only when you prove by a certain method. But that method is not valid for someone like Vivan. He doesn't talk like everybody else. He doesn't read like everybody else. He has a completely different way of communication, which is a very different method. And so the big learning for us, Dr. Ajay, is to assume competence in a child. Once parents are able to assume competence, their ability flourishes. That's been, I think, our biggest single point learning in Vivan's journey from an education point of view. I don't know, Dipali, if you want to add something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add an example that like the school always said that, oh, he doesn't have an attention span to listen to a book being read. And I found that very disheartening, because Furoz and I, we are avid readers. We love reading. And I'm okay, Vivan doesn't enjoy books. Okay, fine, we'll deal with it. Maybe he will like something else. But then I think what we realized around the same time where we had that breakthrough was, it's not that he didn't enjoy listening to books being read. He wanted to read content that was appropriate for his age. The school and even me had been reading really baby books to him. And the day I started reading age appropriate storybooks to him, he was all ears. He sat and he would hear and he would listen. So that was for me amazing, that okay, this is a kid who actually enjoys it. I just have to make sure the content is interesting to him, engaging to him. So identifying what motivates a child, I think this is the biggest learning for me, that if I know what motivates him, what he enjoys, then we will work towards that, and we will teach him in a way that he can access the content, he can access the education. I think this is one of the biggest learnings.
Most people, schools still don't believe that he's actually right now in ninth grade. And when he was in eighth grade, he had already finished ninth grade maths and science with honors. With honors. He was at A plus level, even when the school was saying, oh, he's still in first grade. And I'm like, so underestimating a child's potential, I think, is the biggest crime you can ever do.
So basically, understanding the child and identifying what motivates him.
Yeah.
That's what is known.
And assuming potential. I think we should all assume potential, right?
Also, I think children especially children on the autism spectrum, they look like they're not listening. They look that like they're not interested. It's just that they have a huge disconnect between the mind and the body. They're not able to control a lot of their bodily actions. So a lot of the times you might see a child being disinterested, but that does not mean he is disinterested. I know he's listening. I know he's learning. During one of the sessions with the private teacher, he said words which I had never used with him. He said he likes bacon for breakfast. He spelled out the word bacon, and we are vegetarians. So I told the teacher, I said, we never eat bacon. Why did he say that he wanted bacon for breakfast? So she said that you didn't say bacon, but maybe at school he was exposed to the word bacon. He may have learned that word, or he may have learned other things. So, not to be surprised by what he knows. I think now I'm no longer surprised. It doesn't surprise me. I'm actually always waiting for the next pearl of wisdom that he doles out to us when he's spelling, because sometimes it comes just out of nowhere.
Yeah, it can be pretty scary sometimes, because sometimes he surprises us with how much he knows, right? I mean, so sometimes for the fun of it, we ask him questions like, "Who's your favorite TV anchor?" Then he will type Anderson, Anderson Cooper, right? And I'm like, but how does he know Anderson? Because when I'm watching news, he's sitting with me, and I'm assuming that he's not listening, but he's listened to everything that's happening. So he's taking inputs from every possible source. And I think, and this is my personal interpretation, is that because he's not able to speak, he's such an incredible listener. He's listening everything. So he's actually having he's seeing the world in ways that sometimes we just can't understand.
Maybe such children, Dipali and Feroz, maybe such children are individuals completely by themselves. They're not fitting into a class. It's not a classroom for them. They are a classroom by themselves. That means it's one-to-one a teacher.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
where will you have one-to-one a teacher? Where will be Dipali only for Vivan? There'll be Dipali for 20 or 30 as a class. The world doesn't provide one Dipali for one Vivan.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody is a separate Vivan at different level of learning. And bracketing them all in one classroom is actually probably not the right way. Probably that's not the situation. That's not required. Maybe that's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
it is.
definitely.
It is. Which is a current challenge, that children like Vivan needs a lot of personalized attention, one is to one attention. They just can't work in a system where there are one is to many. And that is probably the challenge of the system that we live right now today. That's not a scalable model, which means that the mother or the father kind of becomes the teacher, right? Because the school system just can't have one is to one.
That is the parenting challenge which we're talking about.
Yeah.
How the parent of a differently able child becomes a teacher, and how many have the capacity, capability, resources, energy, zeal, enthusiasm,
Absolutely.
care, love. All these are attackable points.
Yeah.
That's why this is what a child. So, in a way, what Saina said, in a way, maybe this gift, while he has what he has, is also a very blessed child to have parents like you. Which child will get dedicated to such professionally capable, and compassionate at the same time parents to him while he's come with? Maybe otherwise he would have been otherwise a different person. So that's where probably I think divinity is playing a dual role. One, giving you this, challenging you, and secondly, but he gifted by what the way you are as parents, as parent in your parenting.
Yeah.
Rahul, you want to say something? Ask something, Rahul?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Kiran, ma'am, and very happy to meet them. I also have a question. I was about to ask the importance of personalization. And regarding Vivan, what are the life skills you think that should be inculcated in him?
Yeah. Maybe I'll share very quickly about a little bit about Vivan, and I'm kind of speaking on his behalf. As I said, he is 15 years old. he's on the autism spectrum. He is non-verbal, which means he has no speech. Doesn't mean that he doesn't understand. He just can't communicate with
Via speech.
by a speech the way we do. He has full-blown sentences and all that in his mind, but he doesn't communicate the way he normally most people normally do. And he also has a health condition called Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune condition, which sometimes actually is harder to handle than his autism. The autism is a condition, and we both have kind of lived with that understanding that that's a condition, that's who he is, and different people are different. But really, the Crohn's is kind of a health condition, which sometimes is very challenging, and that makes it even more harder. So that's Vivan. In terms of as I said, so our goal has always been, while he has a lot of challenges, what are the skills he has? What are the things that he loves to do? And I must confess, this is still work in progress. We're still figuring it out. We don't have all the answers. I think this will probably take our whole lifetime to figure it out. But the thing that we've learned is that he's an auditory learner. So he learns by listening. And so we're trying to use mediums where he can listen and learn. So for example, if you put an audiobook to him, he can actually listen, and he will have we feel that he has a great memory. I think that's what we feel, because once you teach him a concept, he understands it. And even his maths teacher tells him, we can explain complex concepts to him, he will immediately understand, and then he would not forget. So he's pretty he loves maths and science. That's his favorite. I personally think he has a way with words, and the reason I'm saying is I one of my favorite quotes. Once I asked him, Vivan, what is your message for the world? And he wrote down, hope stuck in a spider's web struggles to be free.
Oh God.
And it's the most insightful statement I've heard. I mean, I've read enough, but I said, how does he come with that kind of a statement? Hope stuck in a spider's web struggles to be free, right? I think he has an incredible way with words, and I think brevity is his strength, because writing is very hard for him, in the sense that he has to, word by word, he has to point at an alphabet. So he has to point at H, then O, then P, then E. It's a very slow process. Because it is so slow, he has to communicate a lot in very few words. So he's like literally mastered brevity. Everything is very short but very deep and insightful. So that's what I think right now is his strength. He loves music. He loves his iPad the most, and I think devices and technology we see has played a big role. So I think he's also a geek. I feel sometimes he's gone on Dipali. Dipali is a geek. I must confess, I am a novice when it comes to technology. I say she's a CTO in my house. I don't even know how to use a remote.
By that he means I just know where all the remotes are, and I know which one goes for which device. That's all.
I still can't figure out. So she's like the techie geek in the house. No, share your thoughts.
The one of the things that Vivan had spelled out a few years, maybe last year, I think, was because he was having access to grade level academic curriculum. We did it privately, and I was his primary communication partner. So he did 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, all grade level stuff, and he was learning a lot. And last year puberty hit, and it's a whole new chapter for all of us, and for him, a new experience for him. So he had once spelled out that I understand more about the world than about my own body. And I think that is so true, because he's struggling in his body, because he has medical conditions, he has hormonal changes, none of which he can express. Even to date, if he's in pain, he cries, and I have to put a board, I have to show him like numeric system. Oh, on a scale of 105, how bad is your pain? 1 being mild and 5 being extremely severe, that we need to take you to ER, and 3 being moderate. I mean, he still is not able to articulate that independently. So I have to ask him to, I have to prompt him and say, okay, what's your pain level? So I know what to do. And then he'll point to a number. So I think he's struggling a lot with his body. right now. I think with his mind, with all the emotions that come with growing up, and I would say that that's his current struggle right now.
Yeah.
Dipali, Firoz, give out a very, very strong message to the cosmos, to the world, to the universe. Our world needs to change. We need to press some button and elevate our level of consciousness. We need to be nicer to each other. We need to be more sensitive and caring and nicer to each other. We need to love all our children equally. Give out a very, 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 very strong message out there. We need to be nicer.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think to your point, Saina, I would say, there's a beautiful saying that it takes a village to raise a child. We think it takes a special village to raise a special needs child. And we've been very fortunate. I must confess that both me and Dipali have been incredibly fortunate to have a great support system. Without a support system, we wouldn't be where we are. Support system, especially my in-laws who lived with us, who've taken care of Vivan from the time he was born, my parents who come and stay with us for very long periods of time, Dipali's sisters who are all here, family, friends, ma'am, people like ma'am, who's, sometimes people don't realize, one phone call can change your life. And, the people around us, we are very, very blessed that we've had the support system that made us who we are, because otherwise it can be a very lonely journey. I must confess there are times where we feel lonely because most parents just don't understand our journey. That's just the truth, not to blame anybody, but that's just the reality. It's a very, very lonely, isolating journey sometimes. So if you don't have a support system, it can break you pretty much. And so we've been very blessed that we've had outstanding people around us. And so we always count our blessings. We're always very grateful. Uh, you know, uh, One of the most important things we felt is really financial independence, because, someone like Vivan, it takes a lot of medical needs and so on. So we count our blessings every day. Um,
What's the latest research on this? Since I know you're an author of several books, you've been researching, Feroz, you've been writing,
yeah,
you're constantly traveling, you're speaking, and you have your own movement of the inclusive movement.
yeah.
What's the research late? Where I'm moving towards? Are we making any breakthroughs?
So very good question. So if you just look at autism, the biggest challenge with autism is nobody knows the root cause yet. Unless you know the root cause, you don't have a way to fix it, if you may call it that way, or solve the problem of autism. And so the data shows that the numbers of children diagnosed with autism has exponentially gone up. When we knew it was 1 is to 69, now it is, people say it's 1 is to in the 30s, 1 is to 30. So the more and more children are diagnosed with autism, but nobody has found the root cause yet. There's a lot of research. In fact, in the US, billions of money has been put into research to identify the root cause. Unfortunately, there's not breakthrough yet, but I am pretty confident that in the next decade, we will make some breakthroughs in this particular field, at least to identify what the root cause is. As of today, people say it's a combination of, environmental factors, sometimes late marriages, nutrition, and all of those things put together is the root cause. But nobody has been able to figure that out. Bottom line is, we still have a generation. Until the breakthrough happens, we'll have a whole generation of these children growing up. So there is an immediate need to know how to handle these kids. What I mean, Vivan is going to be the way he is for the rest of his life, and that number is increasing every day. So there is a dire need to have some breakthroughs in this field. At least in the US, there's a lot of money being put in, especially by parents who have a has a desire to solve this or find a better solution for the next generation, because otherwise it's just not scalable. The cost of raising such a child is just not affordable by 99.9% of the population. As I said, we think we are just fortunate that we have the means to do it, but most families just don't. So I think there's a moral obligation as well at some level, find a way forward. And that's where we both also try to do our small bits to see what is it, how we can support being part of various researchers, because they need children like Vivan to do the primary research, being subjects of research. We say we will always be happy to do it.
Are you forming any bodies? Have regional bodies, parents' bodies been formed?
Oh yeah. There are lots of them here. I think there are various parent organizations. I think what we've learned is the parents are probably the best resource you will ever find, sometimes even more than doctors, because there's a personal interest and incentive, and parents are sharing a lot of information that they've learned. So parent body in the US is very, very strong, very strong. So we're part of many of them.
How are you networking? How?
So again, I think Dipali is part of various groups. Most of them are through WhatsApp groups. So, for example, if Vivan has a problem, the last weeks he's been having some challenges, and sometimes it's just you put it in that group, which is basically mostly parents, and immediately some parent will say, "Oh, we went through the same thing, so here is what you need to do." So, I think you tend to learn. When in software we call it crowdsource the solution, right? So the crowd knows what the solution is there somewhere within a parent who has undergone that.
And there could be many solutions for one problem. Not everything works for each child. So if you have that bank of information, then you can try it for your child as you see fit. And it is faster than going to a doctor. It is cheaper than spending thousands of dollars on medications that you don't know if it's going to work or not. So definitely having that community, people who are in the same space as you, when you have special needs kids of different age groups, it's really useful, because in fact when Vivan was younger, we were in India at that point of time, and WhatsApp had not become that popular. And I remember struggling with a lot of things and not having answers, because I didn't at that point have a community. But a few years later, when we were here, I immediately got added to a lot of parents groups where everybody was talking about their children and the problems and the school and the education system. So there's so much awareness that gets spread out because of these groups, because of social media, because of Facebook. So it's a very vibrant community, at least the community that I'm part of. It's very active, very vibrant, very helpful. It's a very safe, psychologically safe space to be. Nobody judges you for asking a question like, question that might be potentially embarrassing to say that out in public. So nobody judges you. So it's a safe community, and we're able to get a lot of answers. I recently also attended a conference which was run by a foundation called the Brain Foundation, and they are basically raising funds to put into research specifically for autism. And even within the autism community, there is a niche community like which Vivan is actually part of, the non-verbal community, who are also born with comorbidities, some other medical challenges. So typically, autism is never autism. Autism always comes with a medical challenge. The severity might be different across the spectrum, but there is usually a medical challenge with that child. So a lot of research is still required, but yeah, there are parent bodies, there are non-profits who are trying to raise those funds, and we are part of those. I am part of them. I follow them actively, because I do want to know what the latest research is.
I think sometimes our doctor says that, Dipali, you know more than most doctors. Actually, I think more than an engineer, she's now become a doctor, because she knows. I'm just amazed at how much she knows about Vivan and his condition and in general. So, but a mother is probably the best person to know the needs of the child. So, kudos to her, because she does so much of groundwork to understand his condition.
Dipali, is there any? I do relate to. I understand what autoimmune disorders are.
Yeah.
it's a journey in its own,
Yeah.
because your own cells are not compatible with your.
Yeah.
Is there movement in that direction? Because there's hardly there isn't much other than they're talking a lot about nutrition
Yeah.
for
Yes.
autoimmune disorders.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Are you working in that space?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Vivan has been on a special diet for the last 5 years. It's called the specific carbohydrate diet. At that point of time, when the medications were not really helping him, and they weren't able to prescribe him a higher dose because of his age and weight. The doctor told us, "Why don't you try this diet?" And we started doing it. It's been 5 years now, and he's been doing great on that diet. And I honestly think he's one of the most obedient, non-complaining kids, because if you give the food that I give him to a neurotypical kid, that kid's going to protest. That kid's going to say, "I don't want this. Give me junk, give me pizza, give me burger, give me chocolates and candy." This kid has never asked for anything. He just eats whatever is given to him. And
In
yeah,
fact, Saina, to answer your question, he's so compliant that we realize that we are probably the spoilt one. So we both have also started to take our health more seriously. In fact, one of the big learnings, and Kiran ma'am has always spoken about is to keep your health as a priority. Because one of the big learnings for us, Saina, has been that the best insurance for Vivan is our health.
Yes, true.
Actually, that's the only thing that is the insurance firm. There's nothing else, because the more healthier we are, the more we can take care of him. And it took us some time to recognize that, honestly. I mean, we are now entering into our 50s, and we realize that our health is as important as his. So we've now made a very conscious decision. Sometimes we say, let's eat what Vivan eats,
Yes.
because his food is healthy, it's not junk. And so let's cut out all the junk. And it also saves us some time, because then we don't have to make different meals. We can just make one meal for Vivan and we both can have it as well. So we found a kind of a hack around the system.
Self-care.
Yeah.
You have to take self-care for Vivan's care.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you've role modeled that, ma'am, because, you're still so fit and young and energetic. And I know, because I remember, Saina, I don't know if ma'am has shared this, when I was in Delhi, I used to take every opportunity that I get to be with ma'am. So I used to say, "Aap jahan ja rahe ho, bata do, I will come with you." And so I know she used to have her dabba, and she used to tell me, "Oh, peach khati thi." Peaches, right, ma'am? If I remember, she used to have those dry fruits with her, and she said, "You should have this when you're hungry," so that, So I always remember that small things that she did to take care of her health was so important to keep her fit for an
Yeah,
energy.
you're so right. You are the best insurance for your own child.
Yeah, yeah.
Any trust being formed, any trust coming for as citizens, like national trust in India, they theoretically, yes, India has a national trust for such situations. Is there any something emerging in the US?
So again, I think here, the one thing that I learned very early, the difference between the East and the West, because now I've lived in both the places, is that the West um, is a very independent society. It focuses on independence, whereas the East focuses on interdependence. They're two very different points, coming from two different perspectives. Here it's all about the individual, whereas in India it is all about the collective, and it has its ups and downs,
Yeah.
right? So US focuses a lot about how do we make Vivan independent, and sometimes the question is, why should he be independent? It's okay, that's where he is, and if you have a good support system, he should be fine. So of course we built our own trust for Vivan, so that because the legal systems have to be taken care. In case something happens to us, then who's going to take care of him and all of this. So there's a special needs trust that most families
Yeah.
have to have it in the case of an emergency. But I think I see there are a lot of positives. For example, just to give you a very simple example, the fact that Dipali is working part time means that she's not able to have a full-time career, so the government actually pays her a monthly salary because she's Vivan's caregiver, right? So there is funds that they allocate to mothers. So I think this is fantastic, because otherwise, if you look caregiving, nobody attaches the money to it. People think caregiving is free, but caregiving is probably the hardest thing to do. It doesn't
Yes.
Caregiving doesn't add to our economy, but in the US they say no. If you're a caregiver and you're not able to pursue your full-time job, we will pay you at least something to compensate for that, to show that you are also earning. And I keep telling this to Dipali, that gives her a feeling of self-worth. Yeah, I'm also earning. I'm not just taking care of Vivan, and there is some value attached to it. I think those are the things which I think are very progressive, and I hope India would also have something like that, where mothers feel valued for what they do.
Ajay, you are from the corporate world. You've been getting recognized as the CEO of Asia, etc. Tell us, as a corporate world, what are the corporates thinking about it?
Yeah, I think very less attention is given into, though most of the corporates nowadays have CSR, but the attention or the funding for parenting or how to nurture our future generation is not given proper attention. And I think that is also, like as Firoz said, a very powerful statement in the beginning, that most of us don't know how to figure out our purpose in life. So if we don't know as individuals to figure out our purpose in life, how do we expect a corporate to have, uh, to include
Perfect.
CS in their CSR
Mm,
for our future, for our
yeah,
children, etc.
yeah. Find
I
out
think
the purpose.
still a lot of thought process has to go
Yeah,
into it.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Rahulji, a few thoughts from you. Then we.
I was touching upon the point he said regarding individualism versus being interdependent. I think India has to learn. We are a mutually collective society, family society, but there are some positives of being individualistic too. So if
Yeah,
there can be a synergy between both, that would be very nice, because interdependent individuals are the reality of the world. Family
right.
as a collective may be evolving, but we
Yeah,
need to be interdependent. That's the reason why I believe people like Ajayji, or a person of great stature like Kiran Bedi ma'am can take the cause up and say that the state should also take care of such kind of aspects, which will be very important. So
yeah,
that beyond any monetary aspect, there is a value attached to it. There is
yeah,
some kind of important aspect attached to it. I think that's a very important thing we should take up.
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Under our laws, there is a provision, as you know, a provision for a national trust,
Mm,
where a corpus had been created, trust created for taking care of such children who
yeah,
may need to be looked after at a particular
yeah,
time of their lives.
yeah,
Hmm.
It's like senior citizen homes.
yeah,
The problem is that nobody knows much about them,
Hmm.
and probably nobody trusts them, or maybe qualitatively they're not valued.
yeah. I think
But
there is a. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry.
they carry.
No, no, no. Please. Sorry, I interrupted you.
What I'm saying is, but a question is that I think we don't even know what's happened to the seniors who've been finally left on their own. What's happened to them?
Mm,
There is no such analysis, no such uh, information available, or whatever is very deficient.
mm,
I think there's very little information about it.
mm.
I think maybe when you do your inclusive events,
Yeah,
when I know you do it annually with great dedication.
yeah,
Maybe ask for this as a paper.
yeah.
Ask for this as a paper. So
Mm,
what's happening to grown-up boys and girls who
yeah,
had this, and now, as long as their parents are there, they're taken care of. What's happened then? I think a study of this is much more in need.
yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, ma'am, and we are fully aware of that, especially now that he's in his teenage years, and as we get older, now is the time to understand. So there's a lot of work happening both in the US and in India about assisted living, right? What happens once parents grow older? Who is going to take care of the one after us? I mean, that's the one question that keeps us awake at night. And there are no easy answers to that. I mean, there are different models that have evolved around the world, which includes community living, so that even if, one of the parents pass away, then there's somebody else who's going to take care. So there are different models, but this is still at a very primitive stage right now, I would say. A lot of work needs to be done, and like you said, ma'am, we are also trying to understand and research that topic.
Yeah, when you do your next inclusive conference,
Sure.
are you planning to do it again in November in
Yeah,
India?
yeah. Every year in November we do that, ma'am.
So if, maybe this can be thrown up as a subject for discussion. Maybe
Yeah,
the thematically, your
yeah,
inclusive thematically is what happens to
yeah,
those seniors,
yeah,
who were,
yeah,
and who's dealing with them.
yeah.
I think maybe look at it from
Sure.
that point of view this time.
Will do. Will
And
do.
maybe I could also, we have Rita Pashavria Fellowship. We
Yeah.
can ask this as a paper.
Paper.
I can ask Kirti if he can make this as a foundation paper,
Yeah.
which was awarded. I think that it gives you, both of us are thinking, gets us thinking. You
Thank you.
for your inclusives, and
Yeah.
for the RPF fellowship.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
none of us really know. It's very hazy. So
It
what's
is.
really happened?
Yeah.
And maybe you could also look at the Western practice. So
Yeah.
when you do your inclusive conference,
Yeah.
you can share the Western practice,
Yeah.
US where you are,
Yeah.
and also research between you and me,
Yeah.
to research what's give a record, recognize this kind of focus, recognize the focus on this research
Yeah. No,
or
this
the
is
paper.
a very important topic. We'll take that up, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Firoz, what role is faith playing in your life? Because,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
because, yes,
yeah,
what
I
role
think
is faith playing?
it's very, very, very interesting question, Saina. I think uh, I want to kind of, I don't know if faith and religion are similar or all comes to the same thing. I'm
Yes,
a Muslim from Kerala. Dipali is a Hindu Brahmin, but we say we embrace every religion. I'm
yes,
a
faith.
Hindu. I'm a Muslim.
Just
I'm a
faith.
Christian, and Vivan is just a good human being. That's it. In fact, I remember he was born in Gurgaon, so in his in his birth certificate, they had, this is not the official one, because in the official one you don't have to put the religion, but in the hospital one you have to say what is his religion, and we said humanity. That's all we are. But I think the question to faith, I think as we probably grow older, we become more spiritual, because you start seeing the the complexities of the world and the interconnectedness of everything so much more clearer, right? And I think you are probably more at awe and wonder of the world more and more, right? You realize that how less you are in control of things,
Yes,
is what I've learned. When I must confess, when I was young, I was successful. You tend to believe that you are in control of things, but then I realized Vivan taught us that you're never in control of anything. That's the biggest learning. You're not in control. There's somebody else, some other forces that are in control. So that's been probably our biggest learning.
In fact, we tweaked one popular phrase to say, "Oh, we can plan," or what was that? We propose, but Vivan disposes in terms of any plans.
Yeah.
Maybe I can talk about the whole
yes.
faith thing. I'm not a big temple goer, or I'm not much into rituals, but I do have a spiritual soul inside me. And I practice yoga. I practice deep breathing, and I think those are acts that bring me closer
Peace.
to peace, to God. And I think I've grown up with the belief that work is worship. So do your task, do your work well as you can, and leave the rest to God. So that's my belief system, and that's how I take on every day. I know what I want to do on a day-to-day basis with Vivan, with myself, with my home, and I try to make the best of each day as it comes. I actually,
That's exactly what I wanted to know. That faith is goodness. God is goodness.
yeah,
And the fact is, there is a force that's holding the sun and the moon and the stars together. That force will hold your child also.
Yeah.
So I'm talking of surrender. I'm talking of that kind of faith and love,
Yeah.
where there is a force bigger than us.
Yeah.
Bigger. And Vivan is also their child.
Yeah.
Vivan is also their child. I'm just saying this because of certain realities of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is some comfort. There is a lot of comfort in that belief, and
Yes, yes. That's why I'm saying this, that Vivan is not just Firoz's and Dipali's child. Vivan is
Also, child of God.
he is first the child of God.
Yeah.
And if you can take his journey in that manner, where you keep handing over his well being to the Almighty,
Yeah.
You're doing your karma to serve the child of God.
it's going to
You as
give
parents
comfort.
are doing, you as parents are you serving a child of God.
Because you need that comfort as parents for your heart.
Maybe God sent him to you because he knew you both could take care. Maybe see, God gives you as much as you can take. It's something like that. He gives you. I think Ishwar, Rahul, you know better. You are Bhagwan ka pacha. Batao?
I believe, that couldn't be articulated much better than Sainaji did. Absolutely, yes. See, everything has a purpose. I don't know whether that is an empirical fact, but that's a reality of life that we have all experienced. Like Feroz earlier said, there is an interconnectedness. There is a meaning behind this entire scheme of things. So I also believe in that, that there is a universal sense of interconnectedness. I definitely believe that will take care, and that's a profound existential intelligence. The scientists, people like I know, the researchers like Ajayji calls it existential intelligence. We, the layman, calls it spirituality or any other word. But there is some cosmic presence that will take care of things, and I definitely believe Vivan is gifted. Yeah, you are gifted and blessed to have Vivan, and Vivan is also blessed and gifted to you have as his parents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But
Thank you
very
so
unique
much.
parents in the world. You're internationally totally unique. You were given a purpose. See, I go back to the first thing I told you. I think God gave you a purpose because you both could take this purpose. I don't think. See, and then he's come with his own destiny because he's being cared for so well. He's being loved and cared by so much. So it's his good karma that he's got your blessings, and you are fulfilling God's will. Nothing else. You are fulfilling God's will, and He's giving you as much as your shoulders can take. That's all I can trust and believe. Though I love you and care for you, feel for you so much, really feel for you, and I wish things would have been different. But that's the only way I also can settle myself with.
Feroz, you've given your child Lord Krishna's name. You've given him that name, and such names also come with their raza, with their agreement. You've given your child Lord Krishna's. There's a beautiful way of life that's going in Sharanagati, going in their Sharan. Your child is in their care. Your child is in their Sharan. Of course, I'm just sharing my love as a mother. If we can keep surrendering our child in their Sharan, you love him more than we can love our child.
So when you're parenting him, you're actually serving Almighty.
Yes.
As He desired.
Yes.
That's it.
Because you need that comfort for your heart and soul.
Yeah.
And you need that assurance that your child is looked after, and that assurance will not come from a human being. It will
as
come
long
from
as you can, as long as you can, as long as you have it.
That
So
assurance
therefore,
will
Ajay,
come in place.
when I spoke to you and I said we have unique parent for our parenting, it just happened. It was a coincidence that somehow Firoz rang me up and said it's Vivan's birthday today, Granny. So wish him happy birthday. And I said, oh God, we can have him and parents because we can't find more unique parents, more challenging parents who challenge their own lives. They challenge their own lives completely, and every day they live through this challenge. So that's how, Firoz, when you asked me to wish him happy birthday, Nujana called me and said, ma'am, you know it's Vivan's birthday because we had the Vivan Music Awards.
Yes.
Yeah. we are so blessed that every year
we get
beautiful wishes from the children, and that's probably the best birthday wish we could ever get from anybody.
Yeah, the way they sang for you, Vivan.
Yes.
We love you, Vivan.
So heartfelt.
So
That
heartfelt.
music school is so good. And those children are finding their own vocations in those Vivan school students.
Yeah, we never thought.
Ajay, Firoz, probably you don't know, Firoz and Dipali, they both have funding. Vivan Music School in Navjyoti India Foundation.
Oh, okay.
And children are learning instrumental music and singing, etc. This is from our, so that's how they sing a happy birthday, and they every year we give a Vivan award and music awards.
So amazing.
Yeah, on his birthday you instilled that, and this was when he was born, so it's as old. The Vivan Music School is as old as Vivan. So ma'am used
When
to
we
say,
detected, when you detected Vivan was music oriented.
He was, yes, he was.
Yeah.
He is still quite musical.
So it was such a coincidence that we were saying, wondering which parent do we call this time. I said, no way, we got to have this unique parents. They are the best. Send the word around what parents can be. What parents can be. All giving, loving and giving, and surrendering. I think you're doing three things: surrender to the destiny and giving and loving.
Thank you.
So may God give you all good health yourself.
Yeah.
All peace of mind, happiness, and bless you. And may the child prosper because of that. God knows what miracles happen.
Yeah.
God knows.
Yeah.
You're doing it for the world, and you're doing it for the child of God.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you for being love. Thank you for living such love. You're living love because of Vivan. You're living love.
Thank
you.
Thank you. And a special thank you.
Ajay, congratulations for your latest award you got.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations, Ajay.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
All the
Firoz.
best to you, and I hope we get to meet in person sometime.
Yeah, we
Ajay,
should.
and
You are in Dubai.
you as well. And Sainaji, we are coming to your city soon. So
Please come to our home. Please, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And a big hug to Vivan from our side.
I'll be sure to give him that.
Yes, and you have promised me whenever. If you wear my picture and say, this is it.
And Rahul is a Keralite. You please go back to your own home state.
Yes. Rahul is from Kerala. Dr. Ajay is from Kerala. I am from Kerala. This looks like a Mallu gang now. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Vivan, keep smiling always. Make
Lots of love.
Smiling.
And look forward to seeing you in India soon.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll see you.
Take care. Take care.
Love and
Thank
hugs.
you. Thank
Lots
you.
of hugs.
Jai
Hugs and
Dharima.
love.
Jai Dharima. Hare Krishna. Jai Dharima. Krishna. Jai Dharima.
Bless you.